There are stories in this world that don't arrive with noise, that don't announce themselves with glory or fame. Some stories begin quietly, in a way that you might overlook if you weren't paying attention. Today's story is one of those. A story about a man who never called himself a hero. A man who saved hundreds of children not because he had power, not because someone asked him to, but simply because he couldn't walk away. His name was Nicholas Winton. And for nearly 50 years no one knew what he had done. Nicholas Winton was a young British stockbroker in 1938, a man living an ordinary life with ordinary concerns in a world that was rapidly changing. War clouds were forming over Europe. Hitler's shadow was stretching wider each day. People sensed that something terrible was coming. But no one yet knew how far it would reach. Winton had planned a winter holiday, a simple ski trip. Nothing extraordinary, but a single phone call changed everything. A friend working with refugees in Czechoslovakia begged him to come, to witness what was happening, to see the families fleeing the Nazis, the children with nowhere to go. Winton hesitated. He was not a politician, not a soldier, not an activist. Just one person without authority, without experience in anything related to war or rescue. But something inside him said, "Go." And so he did. When he arrived in Prague, he saw the reality for himself. Parents clutching their children with desperate eyes. Families living in freezing refugee camps. Waiting, hoping, trying to escape a future that felt as if it had already closed its doors. Winton walked among them and saw what others didn't. Or maybe, what others didn't want to see. He saw children who had stopped smiling. Children too young to understand why they were in danger, yet old enough to feel fear tightening around them. Something shifted inside him that day. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet certainty. These children needed help. And if no one else was going to step in, he would. He formed a small makeshift office right there in Prague. Just a table, a notebook, a few volunteers. Nothing official, nothing powerful, but everything that mattered. He created lists of children who needed to escape. He took photos. He wrote down names. He collected documents in the freezing winter air until his fingers were numb. He knew that saving them meant more than giving them a train ticket. They needed a country willing to take them in. They needed foster homes. They needed guarantees, paperwork, permits, visas. A mountain of bureaucracy that could easily crush a small effort. But Winton refused to give up. In London, he spent every spare moment writing letters to the British government, requesting approval to bring the children to safety. When the government required a financial guarantee for each child, he didn't argue. He simply paid the fees himself when no one else could. Meanwhile, he searched for British families willing to take in children they had never met. He knocked on doors, spoke at gatherings, wrote in newspapers, anything to spread the word and find just one more home. One by one, families began to open their doors. And so, one by one, children were given a chance to live. In March 1939, the first train left Prague. A line of small faces pressed against cold windows, some crying, some silent, none fully aware that they were leaving their parents for the last time. Parents stood on the platform trying to smile, trying to be strong as the train moved away. Some whispered promises. Soon. We will see each other soon, even though deep down they feared the truth. Winton watched as train after train departed. 8 in total, each one carrying dozens of children toward safety, toward a future. He saved 669 children. 669 lives that would have been swallowed by the machinery of the Holocaust. Children who grew up to become teachers, doctors, artists, parents, grandparents. Their very existence a quiet echo of one man's decision not to look away. But here is the part that astonishes people most. After the war, Nicholas Winton told no one. Not his friends. Not the public. Not even his wife. The scrapbook he kept, filled with names, photographs, documents of every child, was tucked away in the attic, gathering dust. He returned to his ordinary life, never expecting gratitude, never seeking recognition. To him, saving the children was not a story to tell. It was simply the right thing to do. For nearly 50 years his quiet heroism remained hidden. Then in 1988 fate intervened. Winton's wife found the old scrapbook. She read the names, looked at the photos and realized her husband had saved hundreds of children and never said a word. The scrapbook was passed to a historian, then to a television producer, and eventually Winton was invited to a BBC program. He sat in the audience as the host told the story of a mysterious rescuer who had saved 669 children during World War II. Winton sat quietly as the presenter spoke, as images of children he once saved flashed across the screen. Then the host asked the audience, "Is anyone here today who owes their life to this man?" One woman stood up. Then another. And another. And then almost the entire row around him rose to their feet. Men and women who had once been terrified children now stood grown, alive, with families of their own. Because of him. Winton looked around, eyes wide, his hands trembling. He had never expected this moment. Never imagined that the children he saved would someday sit beside him. In that room the weight of 50 years finally lifted. Not because he sought recognition, but because the lives he saved were living proof that his quiet actions had rippled outward into generations. Nicholas Winton passed away in 2015 at the age of 106. By then, hundreds of children he rescued had grown into thousands of descendants. Families who exist today because a young man refused to look away in the winter of 1938. His story asks us a question. What does it mean to change the world? Is it fame, power, recognition, or is it something smaller, quieter? Like seeing someone in danger and choosing to act even when you believe no one will ever know? Winton once said, "Why are you making such a big deal out of something I just felt had to be done?" To him, the rescue was not heroism. It was humanity. A simple belief that a child's life matters no matter who they are, where they come from, or what the world says they're worth. Today, when we speak his name, we remember more than history. We remember the 669 children who found safety. The parents who trusted a stranger with the most precious part of their lives. And the generations that followed, living proof that a quiet act of courage can outlast even the darkest times. Nicholas Winton did not shine a spotlight on himself. He lit it for others. Sometimes the greatest heroes are the ones we never see. The ones who work quietly, patiently, humbly, believing that doing good is reward enough. And sometimes, those quiet hands save hundreds of lives and change the world without ever expecting the world to notice.